I'm Artistic Gamer 7 and welcome back to some more Sims 4 Pokemon 2 CAS videos. This one we are doing the final evolution of the water starter from Gen 7, which is Sun and Moon. If you're not as familiar about Pokemon and you mainly clicked on this video for a Create a Sim video for Sims 4, obviously, Primarina is the final evolution of Popplio, which is the water starter from Sun and Moon. Basically, you always get to pick in between 3 starters. 1 grass, 1 water, 1 fire. And Popplio was Gen 7's, and this is the final evolution. You should be seeing a picture of Primarina down in the bottom left corner of the screen so that you have a reference, if you're not as familiar with Pokemon, to what the Pokemon looks like and what I'm using as a reference to create this sim. So, going into making the final evolutions for these 3 starters, I was actually pretty excited to make Primarina just because the way she looks. I think a lot of people didn't like Primarina a lot, or at least it seemed like a lot of people didn't. Like, they made fun of the way that the Pokemon looked, or so. I don't know if it was the way the Pokemon played or not, because this was actually one of the few gens where I didn't lean towards the water starter. I leaned towards the fire starter, but that's because it was a cat. I mean, how could I ignore the cat? Like, no. I seen Litten and I was like, yes. And I wasn't as fond as Popplio. I liked Primarina as final evolution more than I liked Popplio compared to the other. I liked Rowlet and Litten more than Popplio. But Primarina, I think, actually looks really pretty, and I actually really liked the way it looked myself. But, so yeah, I was pretty excited to work with this one. I did make her a mermaid because of the fact that, one, it is a water type, but obviously also with the way Primarina looks, I think it's supposed to be a seal of some type technically, but there is a tail there that could easily pass off like a mermaid's tail. So I thought it was fitting to actually make Primarina a mermaid in this case. And you may have already noticed by now, I actually started doing the skin details and all the other stuff on the swimwear, because a lot of times with the mermaids, when you first go in and select them with the mermaids, well, in Sims in general, with the mermaids, what am I talking about? I can't think and talk at the same times because my brain is thinking faster than my mouth half of the time, and I start making no sense. But yeah, it starts you off on swimwear, and I forget that every single time. But luckily I realized before it got too late. So, and all the skin details, except for the only thing that didn't carry over is the eyes, where the eyes were technically under that face paint, the makeup section. So I just had to redo those. So I cut out redoing, and the eyelashes are technically in glasses. So some of the stuff that I did have to redo that didn't carry over, I did those, but I cut that out because I'd already picked those out and stuff like that. And also, I couldn't remember which eyes it was immediately after doing it, so I had to go back and look. So yeah, I just cut that out. There's also eventually a part with her fin tail. Because of the particular skin detail I chose, there is an issue with certain skin details that, mess with the mermaid tails. So I had to cut a section of the mermaid tails out while I was going through looking at them, because some of them, the skin detail looks a little too realistic for me to be comfortable with just letting it show in the video, because the way that it works and it overlaps, and it's trying to figure out how to work with the tail, when in reality the tail is supposed to go over top of the skin detail. But yeah, so that was an issue early on, but I keep a lot of my old CC as long as it doesn't start corrupting or get too bad, or I don't get too tired of it. So yeah, some of the skin details have that issue with the mermaid tails, but I think most new skin details that people make do not have those issues with the tails. And I know a lot of CC creators also went through and updated some of the stuff when it came to the tails. So if you're starting to get into CC, you might not have to worry about that so much. But just letting you know. Now, as far as starting off with the Sims, one of the things I was thinking about earlier, and I think that's what confused my brain, is when I go in to do these Create a Sims, I usually just go in with whatever sim it initially generates, and then I remove all the hair, the makeup, the clothing, all that stuff. And just start with whatever the game gives me. If it sometimes starts me off with Sims that I've seen it start me off with in the past, because sometimes I've noticed there's certain Sims that when you go into the create a Sim, and it like just gives you a random Sim, a lot of times it's, I guess there's like a library or something, like there's some little storage thing in the game somewhere that has some of these Sims, and they just are some of the ones that automatically pop up. If that happens, I'll hit the like random button 3 times. So a lot of times, sometimes the features are strange and sometimes they're not. But I will say, when starting off, the Sim that I was given starting off for Primarina with the mermaid, there were some features that I sort of liked and was like, okay, these are different from features I sometimes fool with. And then there was also like an iffy part to me that was like, I don't know how this is going to turn out. But honestly, Primarina turned out to be probably by far one of my favorites from both series 1 and 2. Like, I think her face is absolutely gorgeous. I just think it is so pretty. And I love how she turned out. I, love this Sim so much. So I was obviously really, really happy with how she ended up turning out. And I tried to do get closest to the colors. The belt is a little awkward because it's not right at the seam of the skirt, as you've probably seen. But I wanted to still try to get a little bit of that pink that she has, like those little, I don't know, fin spike things, whatever you want to call them, coming off of her, fin tail. And I wanted to try to represent some of that pink color a little bit because I felt like it wasn't enough. So that's why I put the belt on there. And I don't think it looks bad. I just would have preferred it to been higher up. But all the belts that I had the option to that would have been higher up actually it didn't look right, and then I sort of clipped through. That is the word that I'm trying to think of. There were some weird clipping things, but oh well, that's the only thing when it comes to, especially CC. Not everything's going to work with everything, because, CC creators can't fully expect everything you're going to do, and be able to go over every hurdle or whatever, and know exactly what all other CC creators are also going to be doing, so, oh well, it's gonna happen. But some of the other ones would have worked better fit-wise, but color-wise, and, just overall look without clipping. That's the one that I went with, because it worked the best. But I did also try to put some pink on her tail, because the tails that I had to choose from that wasn't messing with the skin detail, most of them were just, the solid blues, so I couldn't get, some of my CC tails especially, or tails that I have a CC option to, are the ones that were glitching with the skin detail, and that's part of the reason why I couldn't pick from them, and some of those had more color variations. Honestly, that could have ended up working a little bit better in the end if I had that as an option. But sadly, obviously, I couldn't use those, and this was the tail that I thought fit the closest with color-wise, because it has those blues, and eventually it gets to a darker blue, but it also has some of the other lighter blues and whites sort of going in there when this tail sort of sparkles. So it was the closest thing I get, but I tried doing with the experiment with some of the makeup and stuff to see if I can make a little pink show up on the tail, but it didn't show up enough, and then it looked weird on her face because there's a scale makeup that I have that covers the whole body basically. It just didn't totally look right on her face and the rest of her body, and it didn't even show enough on the tail for it to matter, so I did take that off. Plus that would have took away her blush, which is, oh gosh, I threw my pin. It's one of the adorable features on her. But yeah, I was just trying to play around. Ultimately, she sort of, her mermaid look ended up being a little bit more on the plain side, but at the same time, that's fine. I did try to play around with it a little bit, but oh well. I hope you liked this video, and I hope you like how Primarina turned out. Like I said, I love this sim. I love the way she looks. I probably will be adding her to my main save somehow. And potentially, once I get to deciding on LPs and things like that, who knows, she may also be in an LP as well. I may change her name, but I'll use, like, that base sim, you know. But anyway, thank you so much for watching. Make sure you hit that lovely like button, subscribe, and hit the notification bell, you know, all that lovely YouTube goodiness going on there. All my social media stuff will be down in the description below, as well as the playlist for the Pokemon to CAS Series 1 and 2. This is currently Series 2, obviously, so you can go check out both of the series if you've missed any videos. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye!